Welcome to part 3, HTML elements in Dash. So in this section, we're going to go a little bit deeper into how these HTML elements work with Dash. So normal HTML elements are available as Python classes from this Dash HTML components library, which we've aliased as HTML. And as we saw before, element names have their first letter capitalized. So here we've just recreated this H2 element, and you can see that the H is capitalized. So it's a little weird seeing it as capital H, where in standard HTML you will see it as lowercase. Now, if we can press Shift Tab Tab here, this is just like any other Python class, and that will reveal the documentation. And you'll see all the different attributes that are available to be set. So one thing you'll notice is the first parameter is named children for all of them, but for these simple elements, it really is just actually for all the elements, it really is the content. In this case, the content will just be a string. So for paragraphs, headers, anchor elements, you're typically just going to provide the content as a string. But for more complex elements such as divs, which can contain many other elements, we will use a list. Okay, so let's go ahead and so we've created a title over here. We're going to set this element equal to some variable name. And let's just say we want to create a link somewhere. So links are created with the anchor element, which is just the A tag. And in Dash classes, this will be uppercase A. And if we press Shift Tab Tab, you'll see the signature for this class. And you'll see children over here. This is really content. So let's just say we want to link to the live dashboard, view live dashboard. And if you keep pressing Shift Tab Tab, you should see this href attribute. So we'll just set it here as a parameter like this, and we'll just allow it to go to my personal coronavirus forecasting dashboard like that. So that's where the underlying link will go. Now, in order to allow everybody to, or in order to set the layout, say we want to put these two items in our layout. We just want these two particular items, title and link. And we'll use a variable called layout. You cannot just give it as a list. So you might think like, all right, how do I set the layout as these two items? Maybe just one and then the other next to each other. If you try to do this, well, you're going to get an exception. So it has to be a Dash component or a function that returns a Dash component. So it tells you what what it needs. So you can't just set it to a Python list. What we will do here instead is just create this div element, and div has, you can look at its signature over here. The children of div, now this is where this is different than H2 or A. It will be a list of HTML elements. So this will be the children. So within this div, we'll have the title and the link, and that will be our layout. So this will be now a Dash component, which is what it tells us it needs to do, specifically an HTML Dash component. And now when we assign the layout, it'll be assigned to this div like that. Now, these three lines are going to be standard at the end of all these code blocks. So those are the 3 steps. So just to remind you again, the first creates the application. We instantiate Jupyter Dash. Number 2 is we set the layout attribute. And the third is we run this, we execute this run server method, setting the mode to inline. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And so there we go. That's what we get. We get a link to the coronavirus forecasting dashboard. So again, your elements, your HTML elements, you just provide the first argument is the content. So for H2, it's just a string. For the anchor element, it's also a string, but we have to set the href parameter like this. For divs, you're typically going to be giving a list for the content, so a list of all the inner elements. And in this case, we're just going to assign it as the final layout, and then we will make sure that we set the layout down below like that. So that's a little bit more on HTML elements in Dash.